All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia, Season 4, Episode 24. All right, coming off of the high of an amazing, perfect MHA episode.
The Overhaul arc and the Gentle Criminal La Brava arcs are officially
concluded.
over.
Yeah.
Are over and concluded. There we go. We finished it off with a wonderful a bang of sorts. Yeah, and now we're off to whatever is next. We had some interesting stuff at the same time last season, so maybe we'll get some of that this episode.
I believe that this is the time where they divert focus and they go to kind of the things that have been kind of left over from previous arcs and in some ways from the Overhaul arc. It feels like we're going to take another look at Hero Society.
Probably.
Like, it feels like that's kind of the natural conclusion here. They had X-Men stuff being foreshadowed. They had drugs that affected quirks and stuff like that.
Even if Shigaraki has them, that can't be ignored that happened.
Exactly. We've got stuff with All Might and Endeavor. That stuff's really good.
And the Gigantomachia.
Gigantomachia, indeed. The idea that there are leftover effects from All for One.
Yeah.
And the idea that he might be just as dangerous in prison as he would be, you know, but with his influence and maybe contingency plans and stuff like that.
Who knows?
So that's what we have to look forward to. We've got a lot of episode kind of stuff left, you know, given that there's 2 episodes.
Right, it's not just one.
It's not just one.
Like, are we going to get another Deku Bakugo type situation with other characters, maybe?
It's just that, MHA can do a lot in 2 episodes, and given that in the previous season, we got a whole new set of characters introduced in the finale with the big 3. We got that new
perspective on Twice, and, like, lots of good stuff. Yeah.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Alright, we've got Endeavor focus, we've got Hero Society focus, we've got a little bit of a sociology report kind of thing with Hawks, the wing hero, the wings hero, who is apparently the number 3 number 3 hero.
Now number 2. Now number 2.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Best Jeanist, Edgeshot, All Might, Endeavor, and there was always a gap. Right. I don't remember where it was, but there was always a gap in the number 5 spot.
It was number 3.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the top 5, yeah.
And now we know who he is, and now he's number 2 because All Might's gone.
Right.
But okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to just jump the gun on this guy because I think I'm assuming a bit much here. But I both love and I don't trust this guy a bit.
I will be I hope
I want to be surprised by him.
Right. Me too.
But right now, you get that vibe?
Yeah, no, he totally seems like a bad dude. The problem is that he's a lot more interesting if he's a bad dude, but he's still a hero. Right? Because that's a well, it's kind of a taking up of the role that's being put down, hopefully, by Endeavor. Endeavor was the hero that wasn't a good guy before. Now he's trying to turn things around, right? He's trying to actually step up. Awesome, right?
Yeah.
So this guy kind of fills that position of being the other number 2 hero who's kind of sketch, right? But he's sketchy in his own different way, right?
He's very different from Endeavor. Like let's almost not
super different.
Yeah, but let's like almost not compare them because I think they're trying to bring up the point of how he's unlike literally any hero we've seen thus far.
Yeah, totally. Like he's very different as a hero. I'm just talking about from the meta storytelling, perspective.
Right. So we end up getting this character Hawks, who is definitely more main character for the coming story than most, if not all, of the other pro heroes that they listed in that top 10 list there. Now, they're probably going to be important in coming fights, conflicts, societal discussion regarding the idea of the uneasiness and instability because All Might is gone.
And if you're having if you were to have an arc carrying on from some of the X-Men type stuff that was happening earlier, and you were to have focus on Endeavor and things like that, that's all kind of wrapped up in that sort of societal perspective, right?
Yeah.
And so then it makes sense to have someone else that's up there with Endeavor, and having the number 2 hero be that person. It just makes sense, and to have them be a mysterious person, so we don't fully know what to expect from them, as opposed to someone like, say, Edshot or someone else that we've been introduced to before.
He had 3 kind of general points that I think is good to bring up. Is one, he's competent.
Yes.
One, they made a point to show that he's extremely competent. And then second thing is he has a contradiction. They made a point multiple times, and he made the point, self-proclaimed, has trouble controlling himself.
Yes.
Said it multiple times, showed it multiple times. That aspect of being the hyper-competent, young, flashy, popular, up-and-coming, pro hero, even the media calling him being a bit too fast of a rise. Okay, I think there's a couple things you can glean from that, but they're too far into baseless assumption territory. But he has a little bit of a self-control problem. I think that already lends itself towards the chaotic, kind of neutral, middle-of-the-line gray character. 3, he comes bearing the news of plot.
Yes.
Did you hear that there's some exposition in town and its name is Hawks? By
the way, there's some rumors out there.
Rumors!
And I would really love it if you...
Nomu can come fulfill these rumors!
But I would also really love it if you specifically, if someone else, if the perspective character... Not me, even though I'm hyper competent and could do that myself, would go and do something because of this plot stuff that I could do myself. It's just the recipe for bad mojo.
Especially when he literally went and said, I personally flew across the country, interviewing people, listening to these rumors.
If you did now, granted, I think what they seem to be going for is that because he's not the number 1 hero, it didn't dissuade the rumors, right? It's sort of like, okay, he didn't see anything, but you never know.
I don't think he has any potential ability to do that. Just as much as Endeavor doesn't either.
Right, exactly. People will believe what they want to believe.
But here's the thing that's rather funny, is that they tied this all in with a different plot that I have no idea how it connects to. And that is the idea of some kind of grassroots movement regarding metahumans. That's just straight up X-Men. That's that's literally the thing that right now,
and talking about their rights and everything.
No, don't. You don't know what I'm about to say. The thing I'm about to say is that in comics, when they weren't going to call them mutants at any point in time, they called them metahumans. This was like a cross DC Marvel thing. I think it's literally what they call them in DC. And I think in Marvel, that's literally like a straight comics homage. And that whole thing of being like, see that joke character? It's more exposition, guys. It's them just telling us, by the way, this is actually important. So okay.
And the thing is for me, so with this guy, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of the Greek mythological person. I can't remember the name for some reason. Not Perseus, but the one that flies up too close to the sun.
Mercury. Wait.
No. And then the waxen wings melted, and he, because he ignored the warning of his father and all that stuff.
I know the legend.
Yeah. But that's what this guy seems like. Everything comes easy to him. He was on the top 10 before he was 20. And he's hyper competent.
Comes easy to him.
Because he's constant he's casually fixing all the problems, right? And he talks about how he wants to live the easy life. When he talks about,
I don't buy that though.
No, I don't necessarily either.
So then, why would you think he gets everything easy?
Well, because he has so far.
Well, that's results. That's not talking about effort, though.
Well, he didn't seem to be trying very hard when he did all the things that we saw him do this episode.
Right, because he's hyper confident. Right, so
hyper competent, but
sorry, my words are slurring here.
But the point is that he's really good at what he does. he says that he doesn't really want to try. So like he wants to take things easily, right? He's at the number 2 position, but he said he would rather be in like the 30s or 40s, right? You know, so why is he here, right? There's a discrepancy there, and maybe it's just that he's just that good. He's got the hand of Midas. Everything he does sort of everything he touches turns to gold, right? But then there's the question of like, okay, how far does that actually go? Because we know that there's something about him that we're not seeing here, and it'd be way more interesting for me if it's something where we see him and all of the problems with his character coming to play while him still being a good guy, rather than him surprised turning into a bad guy or some such, and then those questions don't need to be answered.
Yeah, and I think that the main point that he brings up is the X-Men stuff, is that you can't boil everyone down into hero and villain. That's just nearsighted. That's not nearsighted. That's, God, my brain fog from stupid sickness and stuff. No, it's close-minded. It's far too limited. In job, in role, in function, he is a hero. But I think that over the course of the show, they're going to have to deconstruct what a hero is in order to rebuild it back up with what Deku represents. So I think they're going to use a character like this, and in some ways, Endeavor is another version of that. He's just a bolder, brasher version of it, of deconstructing then what is a hero in MHA's Hero Society.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting about this guy is that he was telling everybody that they weren't being heroic enough.
The other heroes on stage.
He's like, what are you doing? You know, and granted, he then went for the angle of, I think it's more important that what our popularity ranking is rather than what we're doing specifically.
Yeah, basically how well liked you are.
Right, rather than how much you're getting done, essentially, which he's addressing the whole issue of the fact that All Might isn't around. There isn't a symbol of peace anymore. But that doesn't seem to quite match up with the whole idea of wanting to be more heroic, because one of the things that MHA has brought up a lot is the sort of duplicitousness in a lot of cases where there's the people that say they're heroes because they're in the commercials or whatever, but, you know, what do they actually do?
Right. And I think that he's poking at the idea that all these other people on stage don't know what it means to be a hero, so they're just saying really safe stuff. So he's not admitting that, hey, I got some great solution or anything here. He's just like, hey, guys, we're the leaders here. We need to, like, at the very least, be likable people. Like,
and which is funny because from his perspective, like, he's definitely helping people out and doing all that stuff, and he knows how to, you know, talk
he seems like a decent person.
Be the showman and all that stuff. And yet at the same time, he's the cocky, annoying brat that's the, you know, young 20s who basically sort of has the world by the balls in his mind, you know, and says all these things about how everyone else needs to kind of step up, and yet he's wanting to do the easy way.
Right,
you know?
Right, yes, like, yes. He's not the kind of person that should be the #1 hero.
Right.
But because it's a combination of a number of things, the reason why they get put up into the top 10, and yet a lot of it seems to be swayed by the recency bias of specific things. Obviously recent because they update the numbers constantly, but things like the Camino Ward incident pushed someone like Kamui Woods way up there, which is exciting because what that means is that the numbers are fluid. You know, you don't become entrenched in there, and I'd say that leaves less potential room for corruption, but it does create a very weird dynamic where you'd get people that are really, really after this spot or what have you.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a popularity contest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he's maybe kind of the method by which the story will poke at that.
Also, there's the part of me that is a little bit worried about him becoming a bad guy because he's in that they mentioned his age, right? Now, so
let's not get too meta here. I know.
But the idea that you can't have someone fighting against the protagonist if they are clearly way older than them in a shonen story. Now, granted, we just had Overhaul, so that being said, But overall, you know, it was kind of ambiguous. He was still the young visionary kind of a person,
didn't you know Gentle was 50 years old? Like, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, look at that spruce mustache.
Right. But even, literally, even with Gentle, even though he looked like he was 50, it was like
he was 50.
Well, no, yeah, but he had the gray hair and all that stuff, you know. Yeah. It was like, oh, yeah, you know, you're 23 or something like that. And then here it's like, oh, this guy's 22, right? So...
No, it just means they're a main character. That's all it really means.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the actual like story stuff here.
No.
Like, let's go back to the beginning. We got everything with Deku and Eri all covered there.
Yeah, that was great.
So we get Eri now actually staying at UA. They brought up the fact that her quirk is coming back. Now, it's not her quirk necessarily coming back potentially. It's an aspect of the power of it via the horn growing.
Yeah.
Which is something that, yes, could potentially fix Mirio. And they brought that up.
Yep. So and
that's shelved for now, but it's brought up.
And one of the things that I really appreciate about this is that they're not saying, okay, Ari's situation is done. She was resolved as a character. She doesn't exist. She doesn't exist anymore. I just throw her away. No, she's an actual person. And the true final end goal for her was not to have her quirk go away, but for her to achieve a balance with her quirk, because that's a part of who she is, right? So in order to fully reclaim that, you need to accept it, right? And so that's great that they're doing that, and then they can do that at whatever pace they want to, and that can also do the whole Mirio thing.
Right. And Mirio being big brother for this is amazing.
It's wonderful.
We end up getting a lot of focus on kind of the other students seeing what it's like to have other heroes who are, in this case, pro heroes, kind of get brought back into the kind of the goings on of things, but being reminded that they're people, like just average people as well as everyone else. Well, because most everyone has quirks. Yeah. But the idea that their job, their livelihood, in some way, kind of matters with these kinds of ranking things or what have you.
Right.
So
definitely important enough to attend.
Yeah, you know. they traveled all the way here for that. That's another kind of interesting.
Yeah, like if you think about it, it's like, I mean, now granted, heroes need time off just as much as anybody, right? But one of the things that's brought up a lot of the times in superhero stories is so what's happening while all the heroes are gathered into this location for this celebration, or essentially a shareholder meeting, almost like you know, every 6 months,
some celebration conference.
Do all the bank robbers make sure to have like stage their heists on that day specifically? Like, I mean,
there's these things called police officers, Jacob.
Yes, but the criminals have quirks too, and I guess the policemen have quirks and whatnot, but still,
I'm sure not literally everyone has to attend.
Oh yeah, it's probably like the equivalent of the Oscars or something like that. But
popularity contest for sure.
Right,
maybe in some ways this is the kind of thing that, because Hawks mentioned it, this is the exact kind of thing Stain was kind of poking at with his blades and being like, this celebration of people and making them as icons rather than actual like
and maybe that's where, because there were a lot of things that Hawk said that felt contradictory, right? And but because of the things that he's getting at are really good, I want to see them fully explored. And maybe that's where it's not contradictory, is that he was saying that as a way of
to get a result,
to rile people.
I think that's
100%
what it was.
Because maybe he's doing some scheme to try and set Endeavor up for failure so that he'll, through popularity, rise. No, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be. You know, it's nothing so simple or stupid as that. No. He has some sort of perspective, motivation as a result of all these things, and it's not crystal clear what it is. But they've given us a pretty good window into it so far.
Right. I would say the biggest thing we can gather from this is that he's not consistent with his like his internal world has some things that are closely guarded. If he is the kind of person that is just kind of braggadocious and just kind of having fun with this, I am going to love his character eventually. Because right now what they're doing is they're basically saying, hey, he's the bad boy, and he's going to have some fun with this. But you know what? He's actually also a good boy. So how about you guys have fun with that, trying to paint him into your black and white picture when he's actually more shades of gray and you know, nuanced than that.
Well, and one of the tough things with the whole bad boy, good boy thing is that on the one hand, he's a bad boy, but he's got good sides. Or is it a good boy where it's
a waste
of
time either way, you know, to go into that, right? So because we can't really know him yet. We just know that he's not all that he seems.
Right.
But there are some very convenient things that just happened here. We have this very big kind of Heroes Summit set up for the Japan's ranking shindig. We got to meet a bunch of characters, bunch of designs and what have you. Rather cool. It's rather exciting to reminded that, Best Jeanist did survive that. He's still ridiculously popular because he is kind of seen as like the one that nearly gave his life for this whole thing.
Right.
But he's still also not working as a hero. The consequences of that whole incident are still a thing.
You can't just have your chest punched through and just pretend it never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in this character Hawks, he is setting up, he literally did it, he set up Endeavor to make a move. And in a popularity kind of, if he was a guy that was seeking notoriety or fame or what have you there, he did kind of the simple thing, was he just took the mic and flew up into the stadium or the auditorium or what have you. I don't think that's actually his goal. I think that if anything was something where he's literally just setting up the very last person who can speak on this and to do something where everyone's now paying attention, because Hawks just basically demanded, hey, stop sleeping, look over here.
Yeah,
and then
he name dropped Stain to get their attention. It's
and All Might, like he,
It's one of those things where maybe it is that sort of chaotic neutral kind of just instigator. Yeah. He's that person with doing the player character kind of thing where the D&D group is all set up and they're all just role playing and it's great, but they're also not really putting a lot into it. And he just kind of goes, I want the plot to start moving. So he's just does a really cool role play thing with an NPC, but it kickstarts a whole bunch of things where all the other players have to react to it. Yeah.
A lot of people don't like those people, but a lot of people really do like those people because they do set the ball rolling. And then Endeavor got set up to give the best line this whole dang episode. Holy crap. What do you think about that? Like,
well, so that was great. And it's playing to Endeavor's character, both from the presentation of it within the show, but then also from the narrative. That's what we want to see, right? Yeah. We are waiting for that too. So the fact that he says just watch, great. Yeah. That's almost like it would be breaking the fourth wall if it wasn't so perfect for everyone in the world, right? For him to say that to them, right?
Yes.
But
wow,
crazy thought as a way that they could make it so that this Hawks guy's thing could be not what it seems, and yet still be something that is in the interest of Hero Society, is that he is doing a syndrome.
Oh, he's syndrome, okay.
Except he's not wanting to do it for himself, he's wanting to do it for Endeavor. Because he sees that basically All Might is gone, there is no symbol of peace.
So he's doing it for everyone, then.
For everyone, yeah. But it's the thing of, he doesn't want to be in the spotlight, right? So he's wanting to why is he in the spotlight then? Well, why is he? I'm not entirely sure.
See, that's why I don't buy that.
But basically, what if? And this is a loose theory. But what if it was something where he was basically wanting to condense whatever issues there were into a way so that Endeavor could properly deal with them in his Endeavor fashion, and basically sort of show off to the world that he is a reasonable number one, if he's up to the task, of course, and it seems that he is, and then therefore he'll be able to become the next symbol, even if he's not All Might.
Gotcha.
I
like it. I like the main part of it of where he's setting up Endeavor via potentially these little rumor things and then the convenient Nomu attack, where his thing is that if he's doing that, the biggest bit is that he's like, oh, villains? Oh, yeah. Like, I call, like, 2 of them up, like, every, like, Wednesday. And I, like, have them instigate, like, dumb little things. Because if I wanted to, I could destroy them. but they keep heroes to be needed or something like that. And then you can have a character like Dabi, for instance, basically being like, send a Nomu to go attack my daddy, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the interesting things because Dabi is doing this. So because if we didn't see the stuff with Dabi, I would assume that it was all Hawks doing this, right? Like directly,
that's literally my thing. I was like, well, okay.
But the fact that Dabi's here, it's like, okay, so is it that Dabi is going to sort of like be like, you are my father and you never loved me or something like that, and make some big display of it or whatever in his villainy way, and then that would be like a bad press for Endeavor or something, but that wouldn't matter for Endeavor.
I think it's literally just ordering a hit. It's just ordering a hit. Just go, cause more destabilization, even if you don't kill Endeavor or what have you.
But Nomus are valuable, and like
why are they valuable?
Well, because a bunch of them were seized, so the ones that they do have are probably
but like have we seen one Nomu actually be really useful so far? Like actually, like the most terrifying Nomu we've seen
was the one in season 1.
Was the one in season 1.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the Nomus since then have ever been like that kind of level of thing right there.
Right, and that was because that Nomu had a specific purpose. It wasn't just cause mayhem. This one feels like it has a specific purpose because it has like individuality almost, right? But
and maybe Hawks is right about there being, more, messed with Nomus, like Nomus that are like more, what did he call them? He called them like modified, said that there was a rumor going around that remodeled villains. It's him kind of giving his like little study on the societal commentary of stuff of what's going on and things are a little bit.
Yeah, the societal stuff, and then it's like, how does that fit in?
Well, I feel like that's more of the stuff he's commenting on, the idea that the average person or what have you is uneasy. And that leads to a couple of the people that feel outcast from society to then go and pick up extremist kind of books or what have you, like this Destro's life story, meta-human liberation warfront. Like that seems like a manifesto for starting your like grassroots movement of people
cult or whatever.
Well, right, but it sounds literally like the Brotherhood from X-Men, basically.
Also,
kind of thing.
Something that now. One thing I would like to go back and check here in this episode, when the guy actually started like getting prepped to do his thing and the shame gives him strength or whatever, and then Hawks just like flings a few feathers and takes him out, right?
Yeah.
Had that guy actually done anything illegal at that point?
Yes, he publicly exposed himself.
Sure.
Yes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I just love how it's so casually just thought of. He's like, he did that out in the cold. Jeez, like he's committed or something. Like it's just so funny because he's like,
That's right.
The note was called High End.
He was streaking.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he had the typical overcoat.
Okay,
and no overcoat and boots on. So then, shame. The more embarrassed he gets, the stronger he gets.
Oh, yep. Okay. I don't know how I missed that. Okay, I thought it was.
It's like, why?
For some reason, I thought he was wearing pants. So I was like, damn, that was pretty cold of Hawks to just be like, someone starts saying something loudly and then just whack, 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 knocks him out. Like, I was like, oh, man.
Well, you didn't get the shame connotation? Like, what was he doing that was shameful?
Yeah. I'm not sure how I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. But
he gets a raging shame boner, I guess.
I figured that was something that was about to start happening. I didn't realize that was already happening, but okay.
I just love how confident and suave Hawks is during this whole thing, and Endeavor is like, the hell? Like what was with that guy? But what? Like he even makes a mention, he's like, what's with your feathers or something? Like, what kind of food is this? He's always like, whoa, these feathers. And he's all talking about hot pot and stuff.
Right.
And then Dog nearly gets,
Yeah, like, he's like the symbol of lazy, I feel like, where it's just like, he just sort of goes around and just sort of like lifts a finger here, moves a finger there, and just sort of everything sort of works out.
Okay, so I wanna I want to go crackpot theory here because I feel like I'm reading along what they're doing with Endeavor. I feel like I'm on the right wavelength with what they're doing with him here. But with Hawks, why did we see him with like government agents looking as a kid?
I know, right? Like
now I just want to throw out the idea there that in this hero society, where's our Weapon X project? Where's our equivalent?
And then we have the person with the wings, like that is like some sort of
exactly.
Yep.
So I want to throw out there and that this is an idea. This is an idea. One of the things that even Endeavor is shown to have here is that he has that awkward kind of emotional disconnect with the people that comes about because of the persona that he puts out.
Yeah.
Now, because we get to see inside his head, we know the contradiction of how he's like, oh, but it worked with, that kid from Shigetsu, Inasa. Like, why didn't it work with the kid there with Inasa?
No, Endeavor's supposed to be hardcore.
Right. Oh, it's like, oh, you're a crazy fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
But just the idea that he's trying to reconcile that. Hawks, in some ways, is so disconnected in a very weird way that I am actually struggling to come up with the typical levels of empathy that you would see from someone that does something that is because of the emotional investment that he has in the people being made better by his presence, right?
Because in some ways, whenever he helps people, he doesn't seem to show any concern. Now that could be just because he's that competent. It's
I think
not
that's
a big
the main
deal,
reason,
right?
obviously.
I think that's the main thing about it.
Yeah.
But when he goes to the point where he is like doing this stuff for like the people, that seems very much like I'm in showman mode. Hello, yes, I'll sign that. Oh wow, you sure you want me to sign this? This is a cool bag.
Right. But usually when you do this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, this is just like you see this with people in our world with celebrities and such.
Sure.
Like moments where they're just going through the motions, doing it over and over and over again. And this guy's extremely popular, so he's probably had to do this.
And extremely young, so if something were to go to his head,
sure,
he would be in most danger of that more than a lot of the other heroes out there.
Probably. The big thing I see as being a potential issue here is that everything he's doing has that slightly kind of off-putting nature to it.
Yep.
And yet he's doing a really good job. He is a great hero. The approval ratings and all that are not the only reason why you get put up there so high. There's the actual work you put in as a hero, the jobs that you do. All that means something. So this guy earned his spot here. Whether there's any kind of government involvement within his stuff there, that is
he seems like a highly functioning kind of someone from, but he's still from some situation like that where he's not fully.
Yes. But you know what he reminds me of, and this is my crackpot theory.
Okay,
I want to go because MHA does this really well. Is they'll take a character who on paper, 3 lines. Define their character completely.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen their backstory yet. I'm going to go out there on a limb. And this guy is all-American FBI Boy Scout from Daredevil, Season 3.
Oh.
He is highly functioning.
But
he's extremely competent.
He's a psychopath.
No. He's not full psychopath.
Okay.
I feel like this is where I need to pull myself back. He is a broken man somewhere inside there.
I definitely agree.
I don't think he's necessarily a psychopath or a sociopath. I just think that there is something off-putting about him that once we find out where's the human in there, I am going to be crying probably because I can see something that is being diametrically put up against Endeavor, who is up until this point the most anti-hero hero other than Well, actually, no, most, because Stain isn't a hero.
Right.
Stain's a vigilante, yeah.
So there were a few things that I thought was really interesting about how they introduced him as a character, but specifically with the fact that they chose him to come in with in proximity to Endeavor.
Yes. Yeah.
So one, this is the first time we've really seen like a long time of Endeavor being a perspective character, which is a big deal, right?
That's a very big deal.
But also, if he is any kind of he's a foil for Endeavor, right? So in what ways is he a foil for Endeavor? He talked about himself being that he doesn't have good self-control, right? Now, that was actually something that originally from just design, I would have attributed to Endeavor.
Yes.
He's raging fire and all that stuff. But actually, when we got a lot closer to him, he had the parts of him that were self-control issues, but it was actually more hyper-discipline, right? And that he tortured himself and did all this stuff to become the second hero, right?
And the things that actually alluded to is his lack of self-control are regarding his past with his son.
Right.
It's almost entirely localized there. So
whereas with this person, the lack of self-control doesn't seem to be the what I originally assumed for Endeavor of the hot, lack of self-control, the Bakugo kind of lack of self-control. It's more of something where he's seems
like, oops, I spoke too much.
No. I know why this guy rubs me the wrong way so much.
Why?
He's a fairy. He is from the land of the Fae. He is someone that is so
chaotic neutral. I told you, he's chaotic neutral.
But it is chaotic neutral with that bit of psychopath. Now it might not in the full extreme sense. Not in the full extreme sense.
Please, let's not throw that word around really easily.
Okay, fine. He's
we haven't seen anything yet,
right? Yeah,
but that doesn't mean psychopath.
Okay,
right. If anything, I know, but your meaning is closer actually to sociopath.
Sure. Sociopath.
Well, no, because psychopaths are the violent ones, Jacob.
Okay.
Right.
So, in this situation, he is someone that is removed and disconnected from the people around him and the society around him and things like that, right? And one of the ways that he is because he is doing so well, right? He casually stops all the things, right? He just sort of walks through town and everything rearranges itself according to his desires, pretty much, right? That gives me a slight bit of almost, not quite because it's not in an absolute sense, but kind of a Dr. Manhattan sort of situation.
Oh, wow.
Where, but taking that and then added on to basically the young hotshot, right?
Okay, gotcha. I'm feeling the hotshot stuff. I'm just feeling like we're still trying to lock him down too much because I think the main point we're just supposed to get at here is that he is chaotic neutral. You're right. You comparing him to the land of the Fae. That's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. Dead on. Is that there are so many contradictive aspects about him already that to go in really and say he's entirely disconnected and stuff like that. It's potentially getting at something where we're going at suppositions based on some external things we've seen on his internal state. I don't even know if we can get to that too much at this point.
Totally. And if they introduce stuff like in say the next episode that goes in a different direction, then yeah, we'll drop this stuff. But the stuff with like the men in suits and everything, the idea of if he was some sort of Weapon X that turned out better than most do in those kinds of stories.
Okay.
I could definitely see that being the case.
Gotcha. Okay, because I wanted to let you guys know that whole thing of the Daredevil thing, that's my crackpot theory. That's why I didn't want to go too in depth into it, because I think you can see the connection there.
Right.
But I don't want to to go into that because I don't feel like we're doing what they've just shown us justice here, and that he actually seems to be actually a well-adjusted, really decent person with regards to how he handles people and stuff. He did literally the save the puppy from the thing there. Yes, he could completely be the opposite kind of person, but there's a reason why they're showing us this rather early. And I think is that when they do any kind of stuff that contradicts that, we're supposed to have to juggle the two.
Yep.
He's not a psycho. He's not a crazy person necessarily. He is a human being, and human beings are complicated. And I think the reason why you're right that he's a foil to Endeavor is that he's supposed to probably be a mirror in addition to being a foil to Endeavor.
Because
someone where he's like an up and coming version where Endeavor was kind of like that, young and starting his own hero agency. Everything's working out for him, but he's got this other side of him. Endeavor's probably going to have to stare back at his past at some point and kind of go, yeah, I need to adjust some things. Like
and Endeavor is the kind of person that, it boils down to the self-control thing, but he burns very hot in a very structured way, right? You know, in his daily life, in the way he runs his hero agency. You know, it's not about the popularity and the personal image. It's the fact that, you know, him and his agency, they've
done the most jobs.
They've done the most jobs out of anybody. You know, saved the most people, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas with this guy, if he's the opposite of that, right? If he's the foil to that, if he's the person that doesn't have that kind of self-control, right? Then that can go to some very interesting places.
Yeah, I definitely do think he has opposites in him. But again, I don't
think
it's...
Not the polar opposites and all that stuff.
Right, but I think he also has some things that are parallels. I think he has a lot of things in him that when I look at him, I go, you know what? If I was to imagine Endeavor 20 years ago, different quirk, obviously, different design and all of that. But there's some things that I'm noticing some crossover for. Some things specifically what would be like a very kind of sure of himself, like kind of maybe a little bit cocky, maybe a little bit also like kind of walking around kind of legs wide, you know, kind of like there's that aspect there. But here, I just love this image here where we're showing him just kind of walking and talking about the food place, completely ignoring all the stuff happening because his quirk is so strong, he's able to do it all just fine. And Endeavor's the one that's like, I'm in an unfamiliar territory. So it's like they're trying to make us become more sympathetic towards Endeavor. They're using Hawks in a way to make us like him.
Yep.
But also the parts where we're like, oh, this is actually kind of awkward. That's to make us sympathetic towards Endeavor. And oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And also, we don't necessarily know what this guy's after just yet. We've heard him say certain things, but it's not. But it whereas with Endeavor, he's so not simple, but he's iconic in the way that he exists. Right? Yeah. He is literally a man on fire. Right?
Just watch me.
Yeah, just watch me. Right? So whatever he's about, you'll be able to see clear as day. Right?
Right.
This guy, not so much. And I almost wonder if he fully knows what he's about.
Maybe he's in self-deception, but
not necessarily self-deception, but more like it's something that's very fluid and shifting. Like
chaotic neutral.
Yeah, chaotic neutral, where he's kind of still figuring it out. Yeah. Hey, I guess I'm at the number 2 hero.
You know what? I would love to have a hero that is not the pillar of goodness. That is not the I was once an abusive father kind of guy, but is just like a kind of a hero that you love to hate. Because there's been a lot of great kind of hero designs, if you will. But not that many in the pro-hero side of things other than Aizawa, where you're like, you're an interesting character. Like, you're a really... I want to get into your head.
Because for the most part, they are designs with maybe a caricature, and then that's sort of what you have, because there's a lot of them, right? They can't get super in-depth on all of them.
And maybe when all's said and done, the reason why we're having so much trouble kind of... Or at least for me, I'm kind of having trouble putting a pin on Hawks, is that he's actually the perfect picture of Hero Society right now. It's a little bit braggadocious, really at the top of their game. Like, really at the top of their game. But also a little bit unsure and not wanting to handle things themselves. Kind of wanting to find a new icon to push it on, you know? Maybe a little bit into the popularity game a bit too much. But, you know, good. Still saves people. Does all the right things. Checks all the boxes. Yeah, maybe he's just a microcosm.
Super snarky.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he's actually as snarky as I would have expected him to be. If anything...
For a 22-year-old hotshot that's number 2 in Hero Society,
Yeah, have you seen Bakugo?
Oh, yeah.
Like, This guy's...
Well, and Bakugo...
This guy's rather mellow, actually.
Well, right, and that's the thing. Bakugo is very similar to Endeavor in that he's constantly pissed because he's not #1. Whereas this guy's just sort of taking it as it goes, right?
Yeah.
And it's gotten him to near the top.
Well, again, I don't think we know why he's at #2 yet. I know we've been told why.
Yeah.
But I don't think his motivations are being explicitly told, because we just had the whole thing being like, these are the reasons why you're the main top 10 heroes here. And then he's like, I'd rather be in like the 20 or 30 spot. I'm like, then why aren't you?
Right.
Why aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's
you
what's
could
that
do
saying?
Things that would, mess
exactly.
that up and take you down a notch. So you're not actually wanting just that.
And the fact that he is very definitely keeping things from Endeavor, it's that whole thing of the, be wary of the man who like tries to withhold information. Those who do that see themselves as master over you, kind of a thing. Or
sure,
I forget the exact line.
I know the quote. It's the mastery over you part is the part that I remember the most. Yeah.
And there's something that he's up to. So
yeah, but I love the Fae chaotic neutral aspect here. I also like that we've spent.
The Fae.
I know. I just love though that we've spent a good 30 to 40 minutes dissecting a newly introduced pro hero from MHA. MHA, which while having really good like main characters, they don't go in depth as much into the side characters.
Right. And especially if this character is going to be not necessarily the bad guy of an arc, but antagonistic in some way, shape, or form, right? Where he's not perfectly working alongside the protagonists of the arc, right? That makes it even more interesting.
Shout out to our editor for being just awesome this season with editing and such. Rob has been fantastic. I want to know, though, where have we heard Destro before? Because remember, Jacob, I made a joke about, G.I. Joe, Cobra.
Right.
What's Cobra Commander doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, we're seeing this Destro name again. So where have we seen that before? It was literally in this season.
I'm not sure.
I know that we know. I know that it was in this season.
It sounds familiar, but you
remember me making the G.I. Joe joke, right? Don't you remember? Like
I'm not sure.
I made the dumb joke about Cobra Commander and all that because it's Cobra Commander and Destro. That's
right.
Freaking So that's a thing, and I want to know what's all that about. Yeah. But hey, this is awesome. We went so in depth into a newly introduced character, which I guess we had seen him throughout the ED up until this point, but we had no reason to care other than ooh, cool design,
But getting trained by men in suits and specifically mentioning you weren't trained at UA, it's that sounds very Weapon X-y.
It sounds very very suspect.
Yep.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, you can't because it's the finale and we're watching these live week to week with the rest of y'all. But you can check out full-length timer reactions, link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level of support that gets you access to our Discord where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. There's manga-only people in there as well for MHA. You can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yep, wrote a sci-fi novel. It's called Battle Lines, and it's really cool. And if you want to check it out, it's on Amazon. Link in the description down below. Go do that.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.